Welcome to a different perspective where civil commentary is priority. Wow, there's been quite a bit of things that have been going on, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that. Today I'm going to give you my takes with Elon and Twitter, the midterms, and Trump. Man, Trump's just getting kicked while he's down. Poor guy. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's see if this background music actually, gets the groove going. Just hearing my voice all the time, it's not always fun. I do like talking to people, and speaking about talking to people, yeah, that's something most definitely I would like to do. But just having time and just organizing a time that works for both of us or a whole panel, it's not work, but it's just when you don't have a lot of time, you have to make time for other people when you have a family. So all that equation just makes time hard to come by, if that makes sense to you. So yeah, my weekends is something that we like to utilize here at home. This is not a career move. It's just when I have some political takes, I just think it's more effective to make a video and to model, a discourse with politics. So that's pretty much my main objective. And if I get to talk to somebody and it works out fine and I'm not tired, yeah, let's do it. So if you're one of those people that are messaging me, it's like, yeah, we should talk again. I do want to go ahead and have another discussion with you, but it's just, life, it's life, and life is good. I can't complain. I'm a pretty lucky guy. So yeah, we're going to start with Elon first. Yeah, Elon, he's somebody that I have low expectations because it was so predictable. I mean, he has some money. He's very well off. And he wants to go ahead and paint a narrative about himself. He wants to be seen as a humanitarian. He wants to be seen as an environmentalist. He wants to be seen as, a person that's for free speech. And I'm pretty sure there's other titles he wants to put on his legacy. And that's just something that billionaires like to do. And if they can control the narrative, I mean, before you would want to control the cable news networks, and more people are utilizing the internet to get their information. So Twitter is still, I feel, one of the biggest ways to just have that discourse and to show people what they need to see. If you can control it, you're going to be more effective at just being able to get your narrative out there. And I think he sees that. And one thing that Elon is really good is marketing. He does have that Tony Stark kind of vibe. If you're probably right-leaning, you probably didn't like the fact that electric cars were just everywhere. I mean, I'm from Texas. I would see trucks parked in some electrical charging stations at a protest because they didn't want the petroleum industry to go away. So it's just really interesting to see how the transition of the acceptance of Elon with the right wing. So I think it's in a gray area right now. They're not as hyperbolic with him as they were before, because he was more like aligned with right-wing politicians. So he knows how to play people, because I feel like people that are billionaires, they have a very holistic view of us. They probably view us as cattle, and they know what makes people work in a holistic way. So as an individual, they don't see you as an individual. Sorry. But aside from that, let's go ahead and tackle the fact that his humanitarian kind of vibes that he wants to go ahead and put himself as. Because I do see a lot of tweets that are Elon-based on Twitter now. I'm just like, whoa, they're promoted tweets. And, I don't forget about how he was able to rush out his Tesla products out, and he had his Chinese factories out there working at weird times all the time with no rest. And if you normalize that kind of behavior, that's just going to spread. So as an American, you should go ahead and push your disapproval with your dollar. So that's why I shy away from Tesla products, to the fact that I don't like that kind of practice. And you can't really call yourself a humanitarian if you're doing it. Because like I said, you're just going to encourage more people to do that. And to do that to other humans is just not very humane. And another thing with the environmental factor, I was a big Elon Musk supporter, fanboy, I guess you can say, because I like the idea of electricity being cleaner, and I was really ignorant of how you get batteries with lithium. And I'm very charitable to the fact that it's a new technology. You need to make sure you create the infrastructure so it can be cleaner, and also the prospects of being able to recycle lithium in a way that's going to be a lot cleaner too. So there's a lot of aspects that make it promising in the long run, but it's still not there. It shouldn't be falsely advertised as a cleaner energy when it's really not. If you look at all the components that it takes for a EV to compete with a gasoline powered engine, which are also getting cleaner, by the way. And yeah, so that's another thing that I think a lot of people are not as transparent. And for sure, Elon's not going to tweet those comparisons anytime soon. And okay, so his free speech advocation. I mean, I really don't consider somebody that puts gag orders on people after they do some shady things as a free speech advocate, you know. So if you make practices of shutting people up, you're not really a free speech kind of guy, in my opinion. And also, he is very anti-unions. he's known for union busting. So if any of his workers want to speak out, no. So yeah, that's my take with Elon Musk. Yeah, he's not much different than pretty much anybody that has that much kind of resources. Just give me an edit button on Twitter and I'll be happy. It's up to us to hold people like him accountable. So yeah. So now let's go switch to the midterms really quick. Let me go ahead and get my little timestamp tweets out there. This is relevant to kicking Trump when he's down, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, I made some tweets because I was like, you know what? I already see something going to happen. Let me go ahead and see if I can make this a little bit more legible for you to see it. All right, here we go. So you got Carrie Lake and Boebert in Colorado that are just neck and neck with their Democratic opponents. And, you know, we were hearing about this big wave. Most of your right-wingers were given marching orders to vote in person because, you know, they weren't really thinking it was a secure way to vote if you sent your ballots out through mail, which, you know, Donald Trump voted through mail. So it's like, if it's not so secure, so many Republicans that are politicians use mail-in votes. What's good for them is not good for you. So I don't know. It's just crazy hypocrisy, right? But they want to discredit that, so they're going to tell their constituency to vote in person. So you would think if they all showed up, that big wave would have just been bam. So added with the fact of all of them showing up, being promoted, emphasized, reminded to show up in person so we could have that big red wave. They showed up, and so did the people that voted for the opposing party, and it was neck and neck. So now that we're waiting on the ballots that were mail-in ballots, it's more than likely they're going to be for Democrats. This is no surprise. I mean, it's a logical outcome to think liberals are more likely to use mail-in ballots because they weren't given marching orders by Joe Biden. If anything, the Democrats are like, oh yeah, you have more than one way to vote. That's good. It's your right. So now you hear Republicans just crying a hot mess about like, hey, let's go ahead and read it. This is funny. If the outstanding votes in Arizona favored Katie Hobbs, they would have been counted already. Remind me again who the enemies of democracy are. You are. So, yeah, that's just a known fact that after you tell people to vote in person, they'll vote in person. So the people that are going to be voting through mail-in ballots are going to be your opposition, bro. So if we don't address what went on in these midterms, we stand no chance in 2024. What do you suggest? Another riot? Another insurrection? So vote by mail is a danger to democracy. It is democracy. It's like you're able to vote, take part in it. And this makes stolen election. Oh my goodness. I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about mail-in votes if you had your red wave. That's all I'm saying. So let's go ahead. They offer some solutions. I'm actually pretty impressed with some of these right-wingers. Let's go ahead and read some of their solutions. Make a long list, you know, the party of small government. They have a list of things they would want the government to do. Election reforms needed now. No mail-in ballots unless you are out of the country. Universal voter ID, no drop boxes, no candidate shall oversee their own election. If results are not available within 72 hours, Secretary of State is removed and prosecuted. Listen to this one. Number 6, a single day of in-person voting. Are you kidding me? Make it on a Sunday and make the day a federal holiday. Open the polls from 5 a.m. till 11 p.m. I mean, if you've ever voted in person, which I did, I mean, I'm left-leaning and I didn't do a mail-in ballot. I voted in person. There was a lot of people there. And this was early voting. So I'm just like, you imagine getting everyone to vote in one day? I mean, if I'm misinterpreting what she's trying to say, that just... Polling places should be doubled at a minimum. I agree. In Texas, when you had early voting, we had more polling areas, libraries, public facilities. But what was interesting, when it was the day of the general election for the midterms, we had it in public schools. And here in Texas, we want to make sure our schools are locked and you can't just let anyone in. And we've been doing that. And it's just really interesting to let the doors open for anybody who wanted to come in to vote. Especially, when political, emotions are high. So I don't understand the logic of utilizing elementary schools, opening the doors to everyone to come in to vote. And, people are going to probably say, well, yeah, they're not going to come in there. It's heavily policed and all that. It doesn't matter to a crazy person as an AK-15. I mean, they don't care about their own life. What makes you think they're going to care about yours? So it's just really interesting to see the logic of how they set up the general election. And mind you, school was going on at the time where they were letting people to vote, allowing people to vote during school. I mean, can you imagine the dismissal, finding parking? That's chaotic. I don't understand why they would do that. So I do like the fact that she wanted to double in the amount of places to vote. So I agree with her. And I do agree that we should make a holiday for voting and just make it a week long. How about that? If there are equipment errors at your polling place, the polling place is shut down immediately. But I wonder if the Republicans were winning. If she's like, oh, no, don't shut it down. It's okay. Just reset it. It'll be fine. It's just really interesting to see these predictable patterns come to fruition after the so-called red wave. And, so aside from all that, what can you say? I mean, I just hope people realize that, the mail-in ballots are going to take a little bit more time than actual counting the ballots that are, in person. It's just how it is. And I'm thinking, that was probably the plan from right-wing politicians to just push a narrative. It's more secure, so show up. And also, at the same time, we could also push doubt because it's going to take longer. Well, how much longer to count all those ballots? They're just going to push doubt due to the fact that they're not winning in a dominant nature. And the red wave wasn't necessarily to win on policy. They just want revenge. They just want you to be destroyed. They want to own the libs. And that's why they're upset. I mean, they might have won the seats in Congress, but that's not enough. I don't know if they won the Senate, but it's just really interesting to see how things are coming into play right now. And speaking of that, you got Candace Owens right now. It's like she's dipping her toes in the water to see how am I going to go ahead and get away from the MAGA crowd and talk to liberals. Because that was really interesting to see some of the tweets that I see from some right-wingers. And she's not the only one, to be, fair. And I put some tweets out there of some people that are criticizing Trump right now because they're wanting to back Ron DeSantis. And, you can see Tim Pool. His wealth, no work, just talk and point fingers. Trump is over. So I'm just like, wow. You can see a lot of people. This lady, she always cracks me up. We were promised a red wave and got a red puddle. I don't know why I laugh at stuff like that. It's just really funny. And I'm trying to find some more criticisms from the right of the like against Donald Trump, and it just where were these criticisms before the midterms? So I just really don't see the fact that some of them were very sincere in their ideology. They're just grifting, and they really believed in something. They really believed in the leadership of Donald Trump. In one person, it's pretty. Oh, reply but downvotes. What is this? Okay, got it. Trump goes postal on DeSantis. So there's Curtis saying all this stuff is a hot mess, and Ben Shapiro is someone I kind of respect actually because he's consistent. I respect that. So yeah, Ben Shapiro's offering his takes. Oh yeah, let me go ahead and see if there's some. Oh yeah, who would you rather vote for president 2024? Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis? You got the Hodge twins giving their takes too. And so it's just like, well, they're not giving their takes, but they have takes. And they do, I put some pictures of like some of their takes, and they're casting doubts on democracy as well. So yeah, it's just really interesting to see what right-wingers are really saying about all this. Oh yeah, here we go. Wow, more Trump criticisms from the right. If Trump can't have it, nobody can. That's some ego right there. Trump isn't a conservative or a liberal, straight up elitist. So yeah, I mean, he doesn't care what you think. He just wants to be in power. And I would vastly prefer unity right now over in fighting and sniping. But that's up to Trump. If he continues his ego-driven meltdown, I mean, this is Matt Walsh, sorry. But, it's just really interesting to see how right-wingers are responding to Donald Trump right now. And they're deciding to kick him when he's down. And so that's pretty much interesting to me because Donald Trump was somebody that they always would back before the midterms. So I have like a gut feeling they always had these criticisms they kept in private. But now that the midterms are over, they're utilizing this as Operation Dump Trump. And that's not going to be the end of MAGA because I think there's still a lot of areas where there's a stronghold. Like you got your Marjorie Taylor Greene that won soundly in her district, and I don't think she's backing away from her loyalty of Donald Trump. So you'll still have some areas around this country that are going to be strong Trump supporters, and so we just got to make sure we're aware of that and address that. So that's pretty much my take with Elon midterms. And just my reaction of how people are being mean to Trump. And before I go, I just, I've been recently watching Lex Friedman, and I'm just blown away with his conversation skills and how he just has these conversations. And he's very direct, and he will hold people accountable. And that's what I feel like I would like to do when I'm tweeting. And I just hope everyone gets that vibe when I do engage with you. It's not to degrade you, but, to call you out. And if I'm going to call you out, I got to make sure I have a good argument. So, yeah, I kind of like this vibe. So I'm going to go ahead and promote to watch Lex Friedman because that's the kind of style I like to, imitate. And got the Ben Shapiro and the Destiny debate. The Ben Shapiro of the left and the Ben Shapiro of the right. Or I should say the Destiny of the left and the destiny of the right. How about that? So, in closing, I know there's a lot of people that I do align with politically, but they don't see Biden as a favorable person, and they see the two-party system as something that's just crazy. Why would you support two-party system? Hey, I vote for other people that are in the Green Party, but as far as like that is concerned, my criticism for people that are hardcore against Biden, but they consider themselves a leftist, and I've spoken with these people, individuals, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I mean, I'll definitely entertain somebody else, but I just don't think it's a winnable strategy in the federal general elections. Perhaps in the state election, for Senate, congressional seats, maybe governorship. There's so many other areas where you can find leadership in a third party way. Especially in local leadership, which I do support Green Party candidates within my city. And when you ask people that are so passionate and reactionary, that are against AOC, that are against a lot of YouTube commentators that are, poop libs, one of the questions that I asked, one of them in particular, like, well, who's a Green Party candidate running in your city? I mean, if you degrade AOC, she's not representing you, for one. If anything, you should promote people that would push your ideology in your city and be a good advocate for them, and let them be known throughout the social media. You might get people donating to them. I mean, I personally do what I can when I see candidates in other states like John Fetterman and Richard Ojeda and, AOC from back in the day. I would send like $20, but everything counts. That's how you build momentum, and that's how you let politicians know that, hey, I have support. I can get more ambitious. That momentum's building, because if that shrinks, it doesn't really give them much incentive to just do new things. They have to maintain what they have, because being experimental might not get them reelected, and it might get somebody that's their opponent. Did you see who AOC's Republican opponent was? I wouldn't want that woman to be in the position that AOC had or has. So I just don't. I always would like to have a conversation with people that are on the Jimmy Dore kind of side of things, and I don't disagree with a lot of things that Jimmy Dore says. I mean, I'm just always curious with why he doesn't hold Tulsi Gabbard accountable, because his big thing was Medicare for all, and she wasn't for that. So I don't know. It's just really interesting to me, and it's not like I want to have a divisive conversation with people that are supporters of his. It's just a shame that there's so many ways that we align, and all the negativity that I see online between them and other content creators. I know this is a tangent, but I'm curious, and I'm putting it out there so people will respond and hopefully engage. So aside from that, that's it. So you guys have a good one, all right?